Being in Dr. Bocco's class was really, really fun. I was a transfer student from Hawaii, and it was one of the first classes I took coming to TWU, and he just made it really fun and welcoming as a freshman and all that.
It was an adventure within itself. Like, you would walk in and, like, he would always, no matter how bad a day you were having, he would always make you smile in some way, shape, or form.
Exciting and like crazy, but like a good kind of crazy. And like he's like probably the best teacher here, but I didn't say that.
I love being in Dr. Bocco's class. The class is very interesting and funny.
It's truly an experience in and of itself. You're never going to find a professor that teaches in the exact same way as him. He's very high energy. You never know what to expect.
I've not worked with Dr. Bocco academically. However, in personal conversations, I always look forward to his uplifting and funny takes on the world and life.
Because I've only been here 2 years, I have not had an opportunity to work with him as much as other people have, but his reputation preceded everything. What a fabulous man he is, how devoted he is to his students, his professionalism. And as an academic support librarian, he has been great about bringing students in, setting them down with me, introducing them, and getting them started on tutoring sessions that they need. So his compassion for students is amazing. And I know that they're successful because he cares about them.
My name is Augustin Bocco. I am Associate Professor of French and Francophone Studies here at Tennessee Wesleyan University. Togo is a very small country. Growing up, or before even I came to the United States, the population of Togo were about 4 million people. Right now, it's about, I will say, close to 8 million people right now in 2021. Togo is a very warm country. The weather is tropical all year long. We have some rainy season and dry season. But in terms of life in Togo, is what we call, intellectually speaking, community life. Is not a kind of, it's not like here where you live in the same neighborhood for years where you don't really know your neighbors. So Togo is a country where if you live in a neighborhood, everybody knows everybody. People are very warm to each other, and it's a community life. People come together, and you don't have to call somebody before you go to their home. You just go there. So growing up is I will say it's a country small, but people are close to each other. That's what I would say. And unfortunately, the political situation in Togo has not been the best. Since 1960, the country obtained its independence from France, which first president elected Sylvanus Olympio. But just 3 years later, he was killed, assassinated. And after he was dead, another president was put there. And 4 years later, another coup d'etat, when that president was sent to exile in 1967. So from that day on, Yadimanya Simbe took the power, and he was in the power for 38 years, since 1967 until 2005. So the political situation, I will say, before 1990 was peaceful but dictatorial. There was no, I will say, protest and nothing before that period. But everything started from October 5th, 1990, where some university students were arrested because they have published some tracts, negativity about the current regime at that time. They were arrested and put in prison. And then on October 5th, 1990, they were to be put in trial. So during that trial, it created a kind of revolution from the student in the country, where I will say that was the first revolution that I witnessed, since I was born in Togo in 1990. But that time we were very young, and then when we get to the university, so from that day on, the political situation became very, very, I will say, tense and very, there were a lot of protests, a lot of killings and things like that, until I get to the university. And at the university, of course, the situation won't change. And one of the things that you have to know about Togo, when I was in a university, that was in the year 2000, Togo has only one state university in the capital city. So of course, when you have only one university for a country for over 4 million people, there will be a lot of problems. The maintenance of a university, to be able also to pay the teachers and things like that, and job situations. So there was a student governing movement that wanted a kind of a fair situation for the student when it comes to studies and things like that. So one of the things that the student governing movement was asking about is for the Togolese government to create one more university, to build, not create, but build one more university, where, the young kid will, in some way, have access, to more education. That way, people that are in the northern, central part of the country don't have to come all the way to the south in the capital city to go to university. But of course, it didn't turn out to be a good thing because the government see through that, see kind of a political manipulation. And the student governing movement called for protest. And there was a lot of protest and a lot of shootings. So there, and as is always the case, what we call a warrant of arrest was launched against the student governing movement, in which part I am one member, which caused us, to leave the country and took our own ways. Some went to France, some to Europe, and here I am here all the way from Togo, and I came to the United States in 2000. When I left Togo, I came to Newark in New Jersey. And but the way it worked is that before I came to New Jersey, there was a flight that's supposed to stop in Sao Tome Principe. And Sao Tome Principe, when we arrived, I noticed then that my luggages were not on board, because I left Togo and I came to Ivory Coast. And in Ivory Coast, there was a kind of, what do we call in French, a mutinerie. It means there was a kind of military attempt of coup in the country. And that's when we were landing. So as soon as we landed, they cut every, communication, no flight, won't leave. So we stay in Ivory Coast, and I suppose, to connect the flight from Ivory Coast the next day to Portugal. But because, of the situation, somehow that evening they announced that we have to leave. And I think due to how you call it, the chaotic nature of the situation at the airport, we boarded the plane, but they did not put our luggages, my luggages into the plane. So the plane left and then came to Sao Tome, which was not originally on my itinerary, but I believe is due to the situation that were unfolding. So when I arrived to Sao Tome Principe, that's when I noticed then that my luggages were not on board. Because every time we come, we have to get all the luggage and then, take another flight. But because of the situation, they say, we have to run. So I was supposed to come to my final destination, was supposed to come to New Jersey, in Newark. But then we left Sao Tome to come to Lisbon, and from Lisbon to Newark. And of course, there I have to report the loss of my luggages. And through all the situation, because I'm supposed, to leave New Jersey to come to Tennessee. I was coming to an organization in Cleveland, Tennessee. And when I got there in New Jersey, and when I said that my luggage were lost, I had Togolese money, French CFA, which I thought that when I get to Newark, they will be able to exchange the money for me into American dollar in order to purchase a bus ticket or whatever that I need to get to Tennessee. But to my surprise, first of all, when I announced that my luggage were nowhere to be found, they gave me $100, 5 bill of $20, in order to, get something with it. And they told me to give them my address of my final destination. Then when the luggage came, they would send them to me. So I left there, and then somebody was helping me because I could not speak English. I met this Senegalese guy at the airport, and he speaks French. He was the one helping me. So we went to an area they have, I would say it's a money center, where they have a Western Union, things like that. And I asked them to exchange the money. And I took my money that I have, and I gave to them. They look at the money, and they say, hey, what is this? And I say, it's a Togolese money, it's a currency, it's a franc CFA. And they say, no, they don't exchange those, because if it's something like a major, it's not a major currency. If it's a currency like a dollar, euro, and British pound, they will be able to exchange them for me. So all of a sudden, I found myself out of money, out of luggages. And the only money I had then was the $100 that they just gave me. So the young man took me to Greyhound area, is called a ground transportation, where I was supposed to purchase the ticket. And they, put where I was going to Cleveland, Tennessee, into the computer, and it came up $100, the ticket. And this was back in 2000. So I just gave them the envelope with the money, and they gave me a bus ticket, and that's all I had. And then when the bus came, I took the Greyhound bus, and it took about 24 hours. We lived there, we came when we came to area, people come out, people get in, people come out, people get in. Until we get to this area, it was already night, but when we reached, Cleveland, Tennessee, I did not know that we were in Cleveland. The bus did stop in Cleveland, Tennessee. People came out, people came in, but of course, every time we stop at a location, I don't understand what the driver was saying because I don't understand English. So even though we were in Cleveland, I did not know. So the bus took me to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we arrived in Chattanooga around midnight. And everybody, I was in the bus with maybe 3 people, and I was at the back. So when we get there, the people that were in the bus with me, they came out. People were waiting for them. They left. And I was still in the bus, and the driver walked all the way, toward me, and say, and start having, asking me questions that I could not really understand what he meant. But finally, I do understand that was the final destination of the bus. So I had to come out, and I came out, didn't know really what to do. So I went to the bus station and just sat down there. The station was already closed. Nobody's there. And then the bus left. And since I was there by myself, and if you knew where the bus station used to be in Chattanooga in 2000, it's not a good idea to be there by yourself, at that time. So I thought that I can come close to the street, because I can see cars going, not far from me. I can see that there was a street there that I can see car from distance going into the street. So I walk a few, and I came by the street. The idea for me is these things we do in Togo, that we call it when you're going somewhere and you need a ride. When you come to the street, when you see people going by, you can do like this. We do this, the sign. You do this, and if the person is willing to help you, will stop. And ask you a question where you're going, and if they want to help you, they can help you. So that's what I was doing, but nobody would stop. And I was there a few minutes. I can see, it was quite a few, about 30, I would say 30 to an hour. I saw, from my right side, I saw blue lights, police coming. I did not know that it was a police at the time. And I thought that it was an ambulance. And then the light was coming very fast. And then I noticed that it was coming closer. And then when they came closer, they slowed down. But all of a sudden I look at my opposite hand side, same light was coming. And I said, this is a little, interesting. So by the time that I understood what was going on, both cars, it's not just 2 cars, but the cars that are coming from opposite direction were closer enough, and then I was surrounded by 6 police cars. And of course the flashing of the lights and the radio that were talking, the police radio, the talk and walk, and I was confused. I could not speak the language, I could not speak English, I was confused, and I was surrendered. But when they arrived though, no policeman, I noticed that all of them did not walk toward me. They arrived and they get out of their car, and what I heard clearly, one of them, scream, "Do not move." And in Togo, when you're in trouble with the police, it's well known what we do is like this. You show your hand that, you don't have anything threatening to the police. So I just did that, man. And then they were there, and they waited about a few minutes, like a minute or two, before one policeman put his gun back to his holster, and he walked toward me. And then when he came, I did, because I have my passport here at my pocket, so I asked permission, because I could not speak the language. I did this, if I can take this out. So I took the passport and I gave it to him, and he was checking my passport. While he was doing that, the other policemen also walked, and they came. And of course, their radio was still talking and all that, and it was scary to me, because I never experienced such situation before with the police, such an encounter with the police. And the policeman who came first, he looked at me, and he said something. He said something. I knew that he said something, and but I did not know what he said. But I knew also that it was a question, and but I did not understand what he said. So I said, "Pardon me, sir." Then he repeated it again, very slowly, but still I did not get what he meant. And I said again, "I'm sorry, sir, pardon me, I did not understand." And this is the second time, he repeated it again, just like, word for word, but it did not click, what he was asking me. So I became very embarrassed, and also I don't know what to say. So I look at him, and I said, "No, sir." I said, "No, sir." I don't know what came over me, and I just said, "No, sir." And when I said that, I noticed rather a shocking expression in their face, and I saw them look at each other, and then they say, "Well, if you say so." And then they gave me my passport, and I can hear them saying, "Be careful, be careful, be careful." And one thing that I also overlook, that I also forget, is that when the police came, he asked me a question, what have you been, what are you doing, or what were you doing, here, or something like that. And that's what I thought I understood. The first question they ever asked me. So I said that I was trying to get help, to get somebody to give me help, and I was trying to stop. God, that's what I said. I was trying to stop somebody, to give me help. And I can hear the policeman say, We don't do that in America. We don't do that in America. So I knew that, I was in trouble. And then that's when I gave him my passport and all those things. But after, they gave me my passport back, and what I heard that I can understood is, be careful. And they say a lot of stuff that I could not tell you because I don't know what they say. And then they left. After they left, and I start connecting the dots, and I said, well, I thought these people will help me, but they left me. And then that's when it occurred to me that the policeman who has been asking me the question may have, offer me help. And I said, no, sir. So after they left, I went back to the bus station, and because I was scared that if I start, stopping cars again, the police will come again. And I went back to the bus station and just sat down there until morning. And when it was like, I believe 7 o'clock, 7:30, somebody came to open, the office. And I went in, and I tried to have a conversation with them to explain to him that I was going to this address, but I needed help. I was going to Cleveland. And that's when he said, boy, and he finally understood what I meant. And he went in and he came back with a bus ticket, Greyhound bus ticket. And on that bus ticket, he did not ask me my name. I believe, I think because, the conversation was not good. But he put where he's supposed to put my name on the ticket, on the Greyhound ticket. He put Christ Jesus. And he gave me the Greyhound ticket. And the ticket say at the bottom, I think a student ticket to go to Cleveland. That's when 9 o'clock in the morning, it was 9:10, I was scheduled to take the bus. And I took the bus to Cleveland and I called, the people that were supposed to go to the organization. It was a church. And I called them, and they came and picked me up at the bus station in Cleveland, Tennessee. And that's how that story or the ticket ended. Well, that organization was I came there, and then later on, I left and met a pastor who took me home to be as his son, and I stay with them, and then I got a job at a car wash where I was washing a car. But quickly, I discovered that I needed to do something, to go back to school. That way, I can be useful in the system. And so I was at a car wash when I saw a job ad in a newspaper. Actually, somebody told me, somebody brought his car to a car wash, a person that I knew, that I met at the church, and the person knew me, and the person knew that I speak French. So the person said, well, guess what? He went to his car and brought me the newspaper. That I saw this ad in the newspaper about French translation and the world language, the International Office of Church of God of Prophecy, that I think you should apply. So that's when I applied for the job. I asked a lady that I call my American mom. She was so kind to me. Here when I came to the U.S., she goes to our church. she's the one that called the world language department for me, and they gave us an appointment, and she came and taken me to the interview, and they gave me a test. The test was to translate a little booklet. So that's what I translated. And I think 2 weeks later, they called me that I did pretty good, that they want me to work for them. And then they hired me for full time as a French translator. But when I was there, I started going, taking classes from Cleveland State Community College, and one class after the other. And it took me 11 semesters to have an associate degree, to finish, the associate degree. And then when I finished, I was lucky enough and blessed enough to be granted a scholarship to go to Lee University. And I went to Lee and for 3.5 years. And then after I graduate, I decided to go to graduate school. And I was commuting from Cleveland to Knoxville every day, from Monday to Friday. And it took me 6.5 years to have my master's and a PhD. And then when I was finishing my PhD in my last year, and was about to defend my dissertation, that's when no, it wasn't my last year. While I was writing my dissertation, 2012, that's when I was offered the job here as an adjunct. And then a year later, they converted me to full-time after I defended my dissertation. So that's how I landed here on our campus here in Athens.